President White, it is my pleasure to present Jim Neff, class of 1978, as the recipient of the Millikan University 2019 Alumni Loyalty Award.
So I'm not much of a speaker, but if I get 8 minutes, I'm going to get my 8 minutes. So I always start, now this would make the Tabor people nervous because I always say, you know, you get President White up here and he's an English major and he talks fluently and all that. I'm an accounting major, so let's dumb it down a little bit. But what I thought is that maybe there was magic in the hat.
It was marvelous.
Okay. I did the white one though because I was afraid the blue one would be too powerful. It's not going to work? Okay. So, I'm around here a lot. And so what I want to pass on to people, and the people in this room know this, but what really got me, I mean, I graduated in 78, but really it was 2000 when my older son, CJ, graduated from MacArthur. Years ago I used to live 6 minutes from here. I now live 13 minutes from here. So we did the regular tour. We went to a few colleges, but he wanted to play soccer. The soccer coach knew him. He wanted to do business. Where are you going to do business? So he came to Millikan. And I don't think I pushed him, but it's pretty cool when your kids, follow you that way. So then our son Doug, 3 years later in 2003, was our musician. And at that point in time, kids from MacArthur were going to Miami of Florida for jazz and all of this. And Doug then talked to Perry Rask, who he'd been taking lessons from for 6 or 8 years and all of this. And we were sitting at the kitchen table one night and made some comment about he and his mother going down to Florida to check it out and all of this. And he said, nope, not doing it. I'm going to Millikan. And what we did was we didn't even look at each other because we were afraid that if we were excited, he would change his mind. So we were very calm, very cool. And then after he left, we go, did he say what I think he said? And so that really was what got us back on campus. And so it was band concerts. It was soccer games. And I got to tell you, I don't know how exactly. I got a call, and I've added up in 2005 from Doug Zimke, and he said, would you be interested in being on the board of trustees? And I'm like, I didn't say to Doug, what's that really mean? Because I had no idea. But how do you say no to somebody giving you a chance to do this? And so now I added that. And so at that point in time, I had that. I got both kids on campus doing all this, so we started coming here, a lot. And so the first thing to me is that this wonderful advantage that we have is that I live here. So Wednesday night, I was at the soccer game. My kids stopped playing soccer. Doug graduated in 2007, and I realized that 12 years later, I still come to all the home soccer games. And I don't think anything about it. It's just an automatic. And if you come to the basketball game, I can leave home at 7:10, be home at 9:30. If I go to Illinois, I got to leave at 5:30, and I get home at 11 o'clock. I mean, and everybody's just 6 inches shorter. But it's good. You see competitors. You see these guys who are just battling. And so the first thing to me is that I'm here and I get to see all of this, and we get to come to the theater and dance productions, and we get to come to concerts, and I get to go to ball games. And so, we're in Decatur. Nobody wants to be there, but if you get involved to here, it's pretty cool. The other thing to my getting to be here for this, and it started with the Board of Trustees, is I have met so many amazing people that you just don't get to do. And I get to meet them in committees for this. I mean, you start out, when I started on the Board of Trustees, and you're like, wow, these guys are good. And you grow into it a little bit. And fortunately, I've kind of found a niche where I think I add a little value to the process. But when you get to see all these people, you learn, and if nothing else, you glean their mannerisms and how their respect to different, to the institution is, and all of this. And so, to me, it's been a great learning experience to just get to go through the process as far as that goes. And the other process thing to it is, and I will tell you my David Horn story. So, and if you don't know, David Horn is the professor of biology, and he's the bird man, okay? He makes bird feed, does all of this. David Horn, just birds. So, and I would tell this story if David was here. So, I got geese in my backyard. And geese in your backyard is just a bad thing. They come up out of the lake, and I got geese in my backyard, and I thought, you know, I'm going to ask David Horn how to get rid of the geese. So I'm at a function, and there's David Horn. So I go up and I ask David Horn, I said, David, I got these geese in my backyard, and they make a mess, and this, and this, and this. And fortunately, I realized that he wasn't giving me an answer. I realized that in my mind, the geese were violating my backyard. In David's mind, my house was violating the geese's environment. So all of a sudden you see a different side of different things, and it's interesting that way. And so, you know, I just sometimes get to sit back and watch, and that's what makes being around here just a favorite thing to do. I do want to also recognize, as I'm doing this, my wife, because a lot of times on Sunday night, she'll say, so you going to Milliken this week? And so far she hasn't really said again or what for this time exactly or anything like that. So to me, I get to go to all of this entertainment here. I've gotten to see all these people and do all these things, and you're honoring me. It's good to be me tonight. I really appreciate that. I got one more story. It'll be quick. Am I on my 8 minutes?
Just at 9.
Okay. I told this story once before. So it must have been 2005. My mother would have been about 87, something like that, still in pretty decent health. And I was feeling pretty good about the fact that Doug Zimke asked me about being on the Board of Trustees. And so I went to her and I sat down and I said, hey, I said, they've asked me to be on the Board of Trustees at Milliken. And she said, well, who thinks you're smart enough to do that? And you got to understand, my mother is really a positive person and all of this. But that's what she said. And and I kind of said, well, I'm no schmucky guy and all this. And in our normal Neff way, we just kind of dropped it and went on. But I've always then said that I'm really convinced that she was always so impressed by the institution that was where my difference was, is that maybe I wasn't a schmucky guy, but could I really live up to those standards? So anyway, that's the second time I've ever told that story. So I am really happy about this, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much.